All right, this should get pretty exciting. Mara, do you have an indication of how many folks are in the room yet? Since I'm sharing, I can't see any numbers.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of folks are joining right now. So if you're here, if you want to go ahead and just put the institution that you're calling in from in the chat, would love to get a sense of who's joining us today.
Perfect. I've just pulled it up. 22 folks already.
Awesome. Welcome. We're going to give everyone a couple minutes to filter in here. So while we're waiting, just go ahead and throw your institution in the chat. I think we'll get started in a minute or two.
Nice. I'm seeing a lot of really cool. I love Toronto. Um, I'm currently in Houston, Texas, so I like to do the Sherman. Arkansas is not too far away. I have family in Ontario, if that's what Hamilton, Ontario is. Oh, Hanover. I grew up in Indianapolis, so definitely love to see Indiana. More Texas. Alrighty, well, welcome everyone to our first webinar on AI in academic operations. We did a webinar previously on assessment about 2 months ago, and that covered some aspects of our AI. But really here we're looking to do a general overview of kind of how we see AI in ACOps at Coursedog, mainly focusing on new applications and trends that we're seeing in the space. And so my name is Mohammed Malik. I'm Director of Artificial Intelligence here at Coursedog. My job is to really oversee our R&D labs that are helping push out nice AI features across the Coursedog suite of products that we'll be talking about today. I'm joined here by Mara.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Mara. I've been with Coursedog a little over 5 years now. The last 2.5 years have been owning all of our reporting and analytics products. So I was very excited when Mohammed joined to be able to talk about how we can leverage AI to really boost our reporting and insight offerings. So excited to share a little bit today about how we're thinking about it and then some of the tools that we're already starting to invest in.
Perfect. So taking a look at today's agenda, we're really going to be covering 5 main areas. The latest advancement in AI, there's a lot that's been happening recently. So just kind of want to give some highlights there and just really set the stage. Second, we want to look at opportunities for AI in ACOps. There's a lot that we're seeing, a lot that we're doing that we want to share with you guys. 3, we want to address some of the concerns with AI. And, there's a lot of really great potential with AI, but also some downsides we should be aware of. And then share Coursedog's approach to AI before opening up for question and answer. So first, the AI advancements. I mean, a lot has happened. November 2022, the shot heard around the world, ChatGPT was announced. And since then, we've seen a huge amount of funding pour into the space. Since then, OpenAI's valuation is near $160 billion, which is ludicrous. And the amount of money spent on NVIDIA chips in the last quarter alone has hit $30 billion. And so you're really seeing a lot of effort and a lot of money being poured into AI recently. And it's showed adoption. ChatGPT within the first 5 days had 1 million users. You're seeing both students and businesses using ChatGPT, a lot of students in class with the assistance of instructors, et cetera, really using ChatGPT to help elevate their academic experience. And then you're seeing almost 3/4 of businesses have adopted AI in some function within their business. So definitely a lot of investment and a lot of adoption that's already happened in these last 2 years of AI development. It's also been really cool breakthroughs that have been happening. 3 here that I wanted to really highlight. Number 1, video generation. This is really amazing. Generative AI is now able to create videos from a description. This has huge implications from marketing all the way to Hollywood. The idea here is a user is able to input a description of what they want a video to be. A cat in the winter sitting in a window looking at a tree, right? You could type in this sentence and generate a video of that exact thing happening, which is amazing, mind-blowing. If you were to do this without AI before, just the amount of effort you'd have to spend and the money you'd have to spend is ridiculous. Second is the world of code generation. So generative AI is now able to write code and build applications. I'm highlighting video and code generation because these are two areas where you traditionally need a high amount of talent, a high amount of capital to be able to create video content, to be able to create code for your application. And AI has gotten good enough now to really handle both. Gotten so good that Jeff Hinton, one of the real pioneers in the world of AI, received the Nobel Prize this year in physics for his work in enabling machine learning with neural networks. So a lot of really cool stuff happened. And that really presents a lot of really cool opportunities for AI in academic operations. So to pass it to Mara quickly to kind of talk about AI in data a bit and how it relates to her world.
Yeah, so I'm a little biased here because, like I mentioned, I own all of our reporting and analytics tools. And so, really thinking about how we can leverage AI to empower you all to make better use of your data. I'm sure you're all very familiar with the state of having a lot of disparate data sources on your campus. There's so much good information, but it can be difficult to actually put that data to work if you don't have the right tools or data governance practices. And so, there's a lot of investments that are happening across the board, one that are actually going to enable institutions, higher ed and non-higher ed specific, to be able to work on cleaning up their data, to standardize their data, to get it to a really good place to actually start to leverage it and visualize it in beneficial ways. And what this is going to enable institutions to do is to be able to create, ask it very specific queries that can go across large data sets, even when the data is in different places, thinking about how you can visualize that in effective dashboards, have it regularly update. A lot more flexibility than what we've historically been able to see, like individual like IR team members output in a certain amount of time, or even like static dashboards that ed tech companies can provide to you all. So really thinking about the flexibility of this across a lot of your data. Also wanting to really think about, when we're thinking about academic operations processes, how can we create reports and information using AI based on your data to enable those processes? So thinking about, what is that going to unlock when you're scheduling a class or proposing something in curriculum? Like, where are the different decision points where having these flexible AI built reports could actually help you in those roles and processes? So really thinking about it from a couple of different things: enabling cleanup of your data, enabling custom reporting and querying across that data, and then having it actually inform your processes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the first really big building block that we're looking at here is unlocking the power of data. And Mara has been leading some really amazing work in that world. We'll talk about a bit later. The second really massive opportunity we see is in simplifying complex user interfaces. Um, a lot of products that you use are very complicated, not because they're bad products, because the process that we have to do is complicated. Managing curriculums is complicated. Managing schedules is complicated. But AI presents an opportunity to simplify these complex experiences. So you can imagine being able to take batch action and execute that with natural language. So as an example, being able to tell an AI to reorder all student survey questions to place the true false questions first, right? So you can imagine at an institution with 5,000 courses, 5,000 course evaluations that are going out, it would be a huge hassle to reorder questions in student surveys. But being able to ask an AI to go ahead and do that would be a really big time saver. And these are things that we're investigating right now in our R&D lab. The second is the power of AI-powered suggestions. So this is receiving intelligent alternatives when issues arise. A big example of this that we're investigating now is in the world of scheduling. The idea to be able to ask an AI to generate alternative class schedules and weigh constraint trade-offs. So how strict do we want to be with faculty preferences? How strict do we want to be with room full ratios, et cetera? Being able to have an AI generate different types of schedules and really help you weigh these trade-offs. And the last that we're looking at is really ways to enhance navigation for new users of the product. So using an AI system to discover features and navigate the platform. Coursedog now has gotten to the point where there are so many features and there are so many products that when new users come on board, we want to make it as easy for them as possible to discover all that's possible within the platform. And so what we're looking to do here is really provide new user experiences that simplify onboarding through AI assistance. The idea is to be able to ask an AI, hey, I want to do XYZ in Coursedog. How can you how can I do this, or can you do it for me? And so this is really under the whole umbrella of simplifying complex user interactions. Going even further though, we're really focused on just-in-time education. So this could be for new users, but also for advanced users of the platform. Um, there are aspects of the platform and aspects of just the job that require a lot of knowledge, but being able to provide that just in time would be a huge time saver. And so this really falls into two main categories. One is receiving immediate guidance when you need it. And this really is exemplified by our merge reports AI feature that we've launched within the platform. And this actually generates human readable explanations for technical SIS integration issues. And we'll talk about this a bit later, but it's been a huge, huge help for institutions using this right now and our integration team supporting those universities. It provides documentation without you having to do manual searches. So rather than giving you an ugly dump of a bug, it'll actually tell you in human readable language what you've done wrong and how to resolve that issue. The second is eliminating the need for extensive upfront training of new staff and new employees. We'll talk about the accreditation report writing product that we're piloting now. This is a way for you to write your accreditation report for at your university with assistance of AI. So being able to give instant guidance on accreditation standards as you write the report, and AI is able to reference the latest requirements from your accrediting bodies, so SACs, middle states, etc. We're able to pull that information directly into the product. And lastly, a massive category around preventing errors and catching mistakes ahead of time. And so this is the idea of using AI to really help maintain accuracy. And this is exemplified in three main ways. One is around validating forms and workflows. This has historically been a very difficult part of the product to work with. And so here we're able to ensure that all processes meet required criteria that you set. So for example, you can ask AI to verify that every branch in a workflow contains at least one approval step, or remove such person from all steps in a workflow and replace them with this other person, etc. So this kind of harkens back to bulk action earlier, but it really helps you here prevent issues and engage with data in a more flexible way. The second is around being able to run automated audits on your data. So as an example, running AI-driven audits on faculty credentials. This is something we're investigating for our assessment cloud now, but really it's a product to help you stay compliant with accreditation requirements without having to do the manual work of going through faculty credentials, asking them to update their licensing, to provide updated information about their licensing, etc. AI should be able to really help you do that with audits. And lastly, regular consistency checks. So AI alerting you to relevant items that need to be updated. Many times you'll see manual processes running across the SIS and the LMS. Something changes in the SIS, you need to update in the LMS, or you need to update in a different third-party vendor. We're working on helping you be able to catch those consistency issues and address them proactively rather than trying to investigate and debug what went wrong after the fact. Next, we'll have Mara talk about the various concerns with AI that we're seeing.
Yeah, so to speak to this, I mean, there's a lot of sensationalism that I'm sure you all are aware of around the risks with AI. And while we're absolutely super bullish on the benefits outweighing the risks, we also think it's very reasonable and important to be empowered in the way that you use AI, particularly the way institutions use AI as well, to be able to audit the partners that you'll in order to ensure that you're protecting your data. And so this is something that we're thinking a lot about on the Coursedog side, because we do leverage so much institutional data, including a lot of student and student audit information that is de-identified, but also still very important to make sure that we're incorporating the necessary guardrails. And so a couple of things that you should really be looking out for when you're working to partner with different AI providers is one of the biggest things is to make sure that they're not storing that data and then they're not using it to train different models. So there's a lot in the news right now about OpenAI using like different news outlets, and there's a lot of back and forth around like what is able to be leveraged for that like proprietary information and the training models and everything. But I think just good rule of thumb, like generally speaking, if you're going to be working with AI providers, you should inquire about data storage practices and then also how they're training their models and what data they're using for that iteration as well. Another big thing to think about on the AI front is that not all AI systems are accurate and reliable. A little while ago, we saw that the Google's AI tool was producing hallucinations, which really is providing information and responses that aren't 100% accurate. The reason that that was happening with Google is that they're pulling from the whole web, and there's a lot of information that might be satirical or it might not be actually true on the website. And so you have to be very cautious of what data you're using to train the models, and also be a discerning observer and consumer of AI tooling and what is outputted as well. So really things to look out for are like incorrect information, misleading information, fabricated, and then irrelevant information. And so the way that we're also incorporating this into the way that we're training our models at Coursedog is that we're making sure that it's always grounded in data. So it's grounded in accurate information, and training it over and over to ensure it's producing accurate results. So something that we're continually improving on, and that we wouldn't release if it were leaning in this direction at all.
And lastly, thinking about data access is really important and unique in the world of AI. Given that AI really provides so much access to your data in such rich ways, you need to ensure that you have proper configurations in place such that unauthorized users cannot query data that they shouldn't have access to. Imagine a faculty being able to access the names of students who are submitting course evaluations, for example, or being able to access the evaluations before the date in which they're supposed to return grades, etc. So all of these kind of data security issues are definitely something that you should consider during an implementation period for any AI tools. And our approach is to utilize our advanced role-based access control. We've extended our RBAC into our AI features as well, such that our AI never gives unauthorized users access to sensitive data. All right, now let's move on to our approach to AI, talking about things that are already within our product and things that are on our roadmap for the future.
So you'll notice that there's a bit of overlap here with also opportunities that we see for leveraging data with AI more broadly in higher education. But one of the things that we're investigating and starting to build at Coursedog is a custom AI reporting tool. And so thinking about all the data we have right now, I mean, we have scheduling data, curriculum data, events data, catalog information, assessment data, syllabi data. We have all of this information now in Coursedog, which provides a really great opportunity to start to build custom reports, even thinking about queries that span across different products. So I'll run through a couple of the examples that we're looking at and wanting to fulfill. But the idea is that you'll be able to feed it custom queries, really anything you would like, and to create custom reports. So that could be a PDF, it could be a CSV export, it could be like line graphs, it could be bar graphs, really any of the basic reports that you're used to seeing and visualizing, you'd be able to generate automatically, leveraging the data in the system. So thinking about it from the perspective of even expanding on the existing reports in Coursedog, oftentimes we get requests for adding XYZ column to this pre-built CSV. So being able to do all of that without support or without needing to export the data and do it on your own or collaborating with different individuals at your institution. We also want to enable you to then take those reports and to customize them. So making sure that they're aligned with how you'd like to distribute them at your institution, whether that's color coding, labels, making sure that they're hyper custom to you. The benefit of this is that you're going to be able to leverage your data in a way that you haven't been able to before in the actual Coursedog interface. So really being able to build those custom reports on top of a lot of the pre-built analytics that we have, and uncovering trends and then actionable insights that can then feed back into and inform those academic operations processes. So we're thinking through how can we integrate these reports and these queries directly in different workflows that are present in the Coursedog interface today. So beyond just being able to build dashboards and save them for different users, create subscriptions so that these reports are updating automatically and being sent out, but also thinking about if you wanted to create a report that then is going to be hosted on every single course proposal or curriculum proposal, or it's something that shows up before you submit a schedule for validation, really wanting to deeply understand what's going to be most beneficial to our users, and thinking through that. So a couple of the queries that we've gotten, and we are always open to more, we're really wanting to think about like the universe of potential things to train the model on. Like one, for example, is I want to understand like what programs have increasing investment via the number of course proposals and section offerings, but decreasing enrollment. So something related to resource utilization. Or I want to understand what programs have more than 75 or 50% overlap in course requirements. So starting to think about transfer articulation and understanding the different course offerings across programs and maybe some of the consistencies that would be difficult to draw out on your own. I want to identify areas in the curriculum map that could use improvement or that are potentially incomplete. So really using it to be a supplement to just the human eye looking at all this data, but actually asking it very targeted questions that can help to draw out these trends, even to visualize and then use for action. Awesome.
Perfect. Earlier, I mentioned that we've built a feature that explains SIS errors in our integration hub. This was a huge initiative and a really, really impactful product. What it does, if you see here in the screenshot, it creates human readable explanations for the SIS errors that we're seeing. So before, these were code looking, really difficult to understand errors. And here you're seeing, this is live production examples. Number one, the reason selected for canceling this section was not a valid value. Workday has thrown an error because the instructor assigned to this section is not eligible to teach it. It's giving actionable, understandable reasons why you're getting merge issues with the SIS, allowing you to jump in and directly resolve those issues. And if you click view details, it actually takes you to the part in the documentation, Workday documentation, banner, etc., that'll actually help you resolve the issue. And rather than just throwing you into the documentation, it'll give you the link to the documentation, but also give you a summarized explanation of how to resolve the issue. So this is rolling out to users as we speak, and it's been a huge boost in productivity for our integration team and also for our institutions who are using it. I also want to cover some of the AI features that we've launched in the assessment cloud. Assessment is one of our newer product offerings. And so as we've been building it from the ground up, we've been layering in AI from day one, and it's led to some really, really cool functionality. For example, learning outcome authoring. This really helps you elevate your learning outcomes. We found at many institutions, they're really struggling to create well-authored learning outcomes from the titles to the descriptions. And that leads to difficulty actioning on those learning outcomes. And so we've built a product here that enables faculty to write higher quality learning outcomes by providing suggestions for what should be included. And this is trained on standards that you set as an institution. So you can enforce rules to add a layer of quality to the learning outcomes. And this consistently updates old learning outcomes according to new best practices. So the idea of keeping your learning outcomes up to date and high quality really becomes so much easier. And this is only a suggestion. AI is not taking over and changing all of your learning outcomes. It's mainly just helping you align to any criteria, any style guides that you have, and providing suggestions for what could be a better, improved learning outcome description. Additionally, we're helping organize learning outcomes as well, and really maintaining the connections between ILOs, PLOs, CLOs, and making sure they're always mapped. This is a huge hassle for universities right now. And our AI tool is really suggesting connections that you may have missed. A PLO that is associated with an ILO, or a CLO that's associated with a PLO, et cetera. We help identify incorrectly linked learning outcomes and actually automatically generate visualizations as well to help you organize your learning outcomes. And so an example is the alignment map that we generate that really shows ILOs to PLOs to CLOs. Ensuring the data in here is accurate is now done through AI. Lastly, in our curriculum maps functionality within the assessment cloud, we're really helping identify curriculum map gaps automatically with AI. So in a curriculum map, you see a course progression along the columns and various learning outcomes along the rows. And you want your attainment levels to follow a certain sequence. You want to introduce a learning outcome before you reinforce it, before you assess it, before you show mastery of that. Many times it's very difficult to notice gaps in your curriculum map, especially as you deal with many different courses across different course progressions. We're able to help you identify these gaps. And so you're seeing here for CLO 1 in the econ program, we're not introducing CLO 1 before we're reinforcing and assessing it. And these kind of gaps are now identified through AI. So we analyze learning outcomes across multiple paths through a course progression to identify these issues. Another feature is automatically generating action item suggestions at the end of an assessment cycle. So this flags potential issues from assessment data, and it generates suggested action items with evidence for those action items. At the end of an assessment cycle, once you've collected all your data, really the goal here is to improve your curricular process and to really improve your programs based on the results of the assessment cycle. AI here is really able to help you take a look at all the data, find the shortcomings, and provide suggestions for what should be done. So in this case, the suggestion is to create a new learning outcome, PLO1. It's defining what the learning outcome should be, suggesting the title, and including that as an action item for the 23-24 economics assessment plan. Really here, the goal is to help you analyze your data and provide actionable insights. And lastly, accreditation report writing. This is a product that we currently have in the works that I mentioned before. And really the goal here is to help you write your accreditation reports for the accrediting bodies, again, be it SACS, Middle State, et cetera. On the left side, we've ingested all of the best practices for answering the various parts of the accreditation report for your particular accreditor. So from the accreditors, we know what are the best practices, standards for how to answer a particular question. What are they looking for in those questions? On the right side, you see data from your assessment cycle itself. So this is learning outcome data, measures, grade data coming from the LMS, et cetera. And in the middle, we're helping you actually author the accreditation report itself. So this is still in beta. We're still testing this functionality, but we're really excited about the possibility here of helping author outcomes by using AI. So looking to the future, the Coursedog AI Research Lab is really working on quite a few things, from course evaluation response analytics to the accreditation report writer that I mentioned, authoring, editing, grading passages. This is what I just showed for learning outcomes, but really looking to expand that across the product suite. To our AI scheduler, helping automate the process of finding optimal rooms for your classes, to self-serve data ingestion, ingesting data into Coursedog without assistance from our support team. This is the idea of being able to upload a CSV of data in whatever format you have and import that directly into Coursedog. The idea of an agentic user experience, what this means in a product is being able to accomplish tasks in bulk using natural language. This is what we mentioned before, the ability to modify all steps in a workflow with natural language, the ability to modify all steps, all questions in a course evaluation using agentic AI, et cetera. So a really big emphasis here on being able to analyze data quickly, being able to import data easily, and being able to navigate the Coursedog product with ease. And so with that, we're right at the 30-minute mark. Wanted to open up for questions, and we'll go from there. Mara, did you see any in the chat that seemed interesting?
Yeah, so I'm going to help moderate. So if you have a question, just go ahead and drop it in the Q&A. But to start, Douglas has a wonderful question. Which foundation models are you using, and what discovery strategy did you use to make the decision?
A very good question. We're using models primarily from OpenAI and Anthropic. that are served through Azure and AWS. So Azure and AWS have their own versions of the models that OpenAI and Anthropic create, with additional security and privacy requirements in place. Um, as it relates to which particular model, we actually have a system within the Coursedog infrastructure that chooses the best model for each question. And so the trade-offs there are, do you use a bigger model that could be slower to respond, but can give you better answers to more difficult questions? Or do you use a smaller model that is more quick to respond, but might not be able to answer more difficult questions? So we have a system in place that can really detect the difficulty of question and assign it to the correct model in place. And so the short answer is we're working with models from Azure and AWS because of their security and compliance stature. And then underneath the hood, we have an intelligent system that chooses the correct model based on the complexity of the question.
Awesome. Are there any other questions that we can answer today?
I see a question here as well about the environmental impacts of AI. So the question is, in what ways are the environmental impacts of AI being addressed or offset by your organization? And this really is at the core of what our optimization layer that I just mentioned is meant to do, right? Like we don't want to use an overly heavy model unnecessarily because that has many downsides. A, it's more expensive for us, quite transparently. B, it takes longer to respond to our customers, which is a worse experience. And C, it uses more electricity, produces more carbon, et cetera. And so by trying to use the smallest, lightest systems possible for each particular question, we're really minimizing the load on the data centers of these providers and helping reduce the carbon footprint of our system. Perfect. I think we'll keep this open for another minute or so for additional questions. This recording and the slides will be distributed after the session. And also, our emails are here on this slide. So feel free to email myself or Mara with any additional questions that you may have. We're always looking for design partners for our AI functionality. And so if you're excited to try some of these new features, definitely shoot us an email. And thank you for coming.
One other question, Mo. Curious, are there any other future AI releases that you're really monitoring that you think would 10x the value for AI in higher education?
Absolutely. Two main things, voice AI and video AI. Voice AI has gotten really good really fast. Um, if you want to see what I'm talking about, try the advanced audio mode on OpenAI. Try Gemini's new audio mode as well. Gemini from Google just released an iOS app last week. When you're talking to these assistants, you forget that you're talking to a computer. Like it's gotten that good. It feels like you're talking to a friend that remembers all of the details about you and, is really able to answer your questions in detail, et cetera. Now, this has huge implications in higher education, right? Imagine a kind of voice AI that you could put on your course catalog that can talk to a student about what courses they might be interested in and what's the difference between taking organic chemistry versus a polymer chemistry class, and here are my goals and my career aspirations. Course coaching, career coaching, a lot of these things I think are much more scalable once you have voice AI, and I think it becomes much more personable once you have video AI. And I mentioned video AI before in this call, and that's AI in the sense of, hey, give me a string, give me some text, and I'll generate a video for you. But voice AI is getting to the point where you can actually talk to someone like on a Zoom call, and it'll feel like it's an actual person, but it's an AI, right? So if this AI can talk to you and you can see it and trying to engage with it, then being able to democratize counseling, career coaching, et cetera, I think is a massive, massive opportunity.
That's awesome. Very dystopian, but very cool. Another question that I know I hear a lot from institutions is around the change management associated with AI. I think oftentimes you see a certain level of resistance, maybe from faculty whose introduction to AI tends to be around schools or students using it maybe for cheating or things that they're wanting to protect against. When you think about all of the benefits that AI can offer, how would you recommend administrators go about those conversations to get the end users on their campus excited about it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think there are two main buckets that I would really put AI in higher education, right? This presentation was on AI in academic operations. So this is most of the stuff that students don't see behind the curtain, really helping campus function. I think there's also AI in the student experience, right? And this is AI in the classroom, be able to use that for uh, improving the learning experience of students. And I think really there are a lot of tools out there now that faculty can use to actually help their students in learning. And I think people should just take a less antagonistic approach to AI. Obviously, there are massive implications for writing and cheating, etc. But at the end of the day, these are the tools of the future. And whatever way you can use to embrace these tools are going to be very beneficial.
Awesome. Well, if we don't have any other questions, I think we all can give you some time back. So really appreciate you joining today. You have our emails if you want to reach out and chat or talk about potential design partnerships. So thank you and enjoy the rest of your week.
Perfect. Take care, guys.